Haitian police retook control of the Varruex fuel terminal, the most important in the country, which stores more than 70% of the country's fuel supply. In Brazil, the government team of President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva seeks to guarantee the benefits of social investment for the 2023 budget as part of the political transition in the country. Russia and Turkiye reached an agreement to deliver grain free of charge to countries in need, including Djibouti, Somalia, and Sudan. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. On Thursday, Haitian police retook control of the Varruex fuel terminal, the most important in the country, which stores more than 70% of the country's fuel supply. Following a sharp increase of fuel prices, former police officer Jimmy Cherizer, nicknamed Barbecue, leading a coalition of armed gangs, the G9, hijacked the Varruex terminal late September. He was demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, the participation in the new government, and the elimination of all arrest warrants against him. Retaking the terminal was a two-day operation carried out by a temporary anti-gang unit, which cleared the roads leading to the site. The government announced that as of next Monday, all service stations in Haiti will have fuel, and they will have vowed to take all necessary measures to allow the country to resume normal life. The lack of fuel caused the disruption of the school year, the closure of the essential facilities like water treatment plants and hospitals in the midst of a cholera outbreak which has caused 60 deaths so far. Amid strong claims for social and civil organizations, Ecuadorian President Guillermo Lasso announced that the riot at the Litoral Penitentiary has been brought under control. The violence and the insecurity that the country is experiencing has increased in the last few hours. According to prison and local authorities, many of the crimes have been ordered from inside the prison. 1,300 police officers and similar quantity of army soldiers, following orders from President Lasso, barged into the prison on Thursday to control the situation. President Lasso attacked human rights groups who had criticized him for showing incompetence in offering alternatives to poverty. Bolivian President Luis Arce will chair the inauguration of the Technical Roundtable to define the date for the census. The head of the state will attend the inauguration ceremony at the Technical University of Beni Mariscal José Vallivian. Government representatives of various departments, municipalities, and indigenous communities will attend the meeting. The specialized committee will include representatives of international organizations, United Nations experts, and representatives of the community of Latin American and Caribbean states. Ahead of the meeting, President Arce stated that with the installation of the Technical Commission, the population will have security about the implementation and quality of the census process. Colombia's Congress approved a tax reform bill that will raise an additional $4 billion annually for the next 4 years. The new law, a cornerstone of President Gustavo Petro's administration, seeks to fund social projects and put the country's public finances in order. With 130 votes in favor and 48 against, the chamber also approved the pending articles, which now goes to the Senate for the final approval. In addition to duties of up to 10% on coal and up to 15% on crude oil, when prices go above a certain level, the law will impose higher taxes on people who earn about $2,000 a month, as well as on single-use plastics, sugary drinks, and ultra-processed foods. In Brazil, the team of President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva began discussions aimed at implementing a real increase of the minimum wage in 2023. The last real increase in minimum wage was done in early 2019, when Jair Bolsonaro implemented the minimum wage valuation policy that had been passed under the administration of Dilma Rousseff. President-elect Luis Inácio Lula da Silva's team, through the Transition Commission, will authorize extra spending to guarantee the continuity of social benefits such as Auxílio Brasil, which translates as Help Brazil, the expansion of indigenous health care services, and school meals, plus unblocking resources for investments. In the United States, official sources report that more than 30 million citizens have cast their early vote in the midterm elections, 4 days ahead of the elections. According to data from the United States Elections Project site, to this date, more than 4 million people have already voted in the state of Texas, and close to 3,500,000 in California and Florida. According to the source, people over 65 years of age are the largest group, representing 46% of the electoral roll. Specialists consider these midterm elections could have less turnout than the presidential election, as polls estimate a 40% turnout. Top United States election security authorities reaffirmed there is no evidence of tampering with the system's integrity ahead of the midterm elections to be held on November 8th. According to Jean Easterly, director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, and other government officials certified there is no evidence of hostile forces interfering with voting or vote counting. They insisted on not letting their guard down in the face of growing conspiracy theories about alleged election fraud spreading across the country. Easterly agreed that, unlike in the past, the greatest risk is now posed by local threats rather than what people call foreign enemies. We'll take a short break, but first, remember you can follow us on our TikTok account at TeleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news, updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. A 6.0 magnitude earthquake shook El Salvador with no initial reports of casualties or material damage. Interior Minister Juan Carlos Videgain confirmed that the quake epicenter was located 37 kilometers off the country's southeastern coast, near the town of Mizara in La Libertad region. President Nayib Bukele stated there were no reports from the armed forces or police about damage to infrastructure or other kind. The earthquake was felt in at least 14 departments, with people leaving their homes and taking to the streets in many residential areas. And Senegal's renowned Pink Lake may be in danger. At the height of the rainy season in August, water cascaded into the lake, nearly tripling its usual depth. The influx washed away some 7,000 tons of salt that had been harvested. The president of the Lac Rose Salt Workers Cooperative, Muget Indur, estimates the losses at nearly $250,000. Since the floods, the 3,000 families earning a living extracting bucketfuls of salt are living in a nightmare. The National Agency for Civil Aviation and Meteorology said the exceptional nature of this year's rainy season is consistent with the finding of the latest report by the United Nations Expert Panel on Climate Change.
For 2 months, no one has been able to enter the lake to work because there is a risk of drowning. The salt is at the bottom of the lake. Nobody can dive to harvest the salt. This is a problem. And secondly, if this phenomenon continues, we risk losing the salt completely by dissolution. This is a problem because there is so much fresh water in the lake that if it continues like this, it will be terrible. The extraction of salt will disappear once for all.
Tanzania's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa confirmed the fire burning on Mount Kilimanjaro for almost 2 weeks has been largely contained, after hundreds of military personnel were deployed to help extinguish the flames. The Prime Minister said 878 soldiers and 2 helicopters were sent to the site. The blaze destroyed 33 square kilometers on Africa's tallest and most famous mountain. The fire started on October 21st near the Karange camp, which is popular among the thousands of hikers who attempt to climb off the mountain every year. The cause of the fire has yet to be established and investigations are ongoing as strong winds complicated the response. Mount Kilimanjaro, at nearly 6,000 meters, is a major tourist attraction in Tanzania. Indian authorities on Friday shut factories and construction sites, restricted diesel-run vehicles, and deployed water sprinklers and anti-smog guns to control haze and smog. The Delhi government closed primary schools and restricted outdoor activity for older students as the air quality index exceeded 470, considered severe and more than 10 times the global safety threshold. Meanwhile, a city on the outskirts of New Delhi, schools shifted to online classes up to the 8th grade to meet the public health crisis. A government statement said that a full closure of schools, colleges, and non-emergency commercial activities and a restriction on private vehicles is being considered in case the pollution level does not come down this weekend. And the cholera virus, which has been decreasing for years as a result of the measures of global health institutions and governments, has started to increase its impact again due to reasons such as climate change, poverty, and conflicts. The fact that disasters such as hurricanes, heavy rains, and droughts caused by climate change negatively affect access to clean water is known as the primary factor triggering the cholera epidemic. In addition, poverty and conflict are among the factors that cause the spread of cholera. According to data from the World Health Organization, while the number of cholera cases worldwide was less than 20 from 2017 to 2021, cholera epidemics were seen in 26 countries only in 2022. The virus, which first appeared in the world in the early 19th century in India, spread to the continent in a short time, causing epidemics. There have been 6 major cholera epidemics throughout history, and millions of people have died in these epidemics. UNESCO warned on Friday that a third of glaciers declared a World Heritage Site will disappear by 2050, no matter the climate scenario, while calling for rapidly reducing CO2 emissions to preserve the 2/3 remaining. A study launched by the United Nations entity covered more than 18,000 glaciers spread over 50 World Heritage Sites, that is 10% of the glacial surface of the Earth. According to the report on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the melting of ice and the snow is one of the 10 main threats caused by global warming. World Heritage glaciers lose 58,000 tons of ice each year, the same amount of water used annually by France and Spain, which contributes to the rise in sea level around the world. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Russia and Turkey on Friday reached an agreement to deliver grain free of charge to countries in need, including Djibouti, Somalia, and Sudan.
Told me during our conversation the other day that we should send grain free of charge to countries including Djibouti, Somalia, and Sudan. We have agreed, and we also agreed to discuss this at the G20 summit.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday took part in celebrations marking Unity Day. Russians celebrate Unity Day across the country on November 4th to commemorate the popular uprising that led to the expulsion of Polish-Lithuanian forces from Moscow in 1962. President Putin laid flowers at a monument to uprising leaders Kuzma Minin and Dmitry Pultharsky on Red Square and talked to the volunteers of various youth movements. Chinese President Xi Jinping met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Friday at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. During the meeting, both diplomats vowed to deepen bilateral cooperation in various fields. President Xi Jinping noted that the German Chancellor is the first European leader to visit the Asian giant after the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, and that it is his first official visit to Beijing as the federal chancellor, stressing that 2022 marks the 50th anniversary of China-Germany diplomatic relations. The Chinese head of state said the 5-decade journey shows that as long as the two sides follow the principles of mutual respect, agreeing to differ, and pursuing win-win cooperation, the overall course of the bilateral ties will remain on the right track with steady progress. And tensions are rising in the Korean Peninsula. Seoul has mobilized its senior air force on emergency after its radars detected more than 180 North Korean aircrafts. Following the announcement of the extension of joint military drill between South Korea and the United States in response to Pyongyang's missile launch, Democratic People's Republic's Labor Party Central Committee Secretary Park Jong-shun said Seoul's decision was a repairable mistake. Hours later, the South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff reported an operation by North Korean military aircrafts in several areas, including on the ground north of the Tactical Action Line. In response, they have deployed at least 80 stealth fighters. Israeli Air Force fired at least 6 missiles into the Gaza Strip on Friday. More than 2 million Palestinians live in the enclave. The strikes hit close to the Maghazi refugee camp. From the site, Palestinian authorities confirmed damages on houses and the overall infrastructure, as well as a blackout in the entire area. The Israeli military attributed the attack as a response to an alleged rocket attack launched by the Hamas resistance movement. Hours earlier, Israeli forces killed a jihad leader in Palestine. So far, it remains unknown if the most recent aggression on the Gaza Strip left any casualties. In Iran, a demonstration led by President Ebrahim Raisi commemorated Students' Day, which recalls the 1979 seizure of the United States Embassy by a group of Iranian students and their assassination. At the rally, people expressed their rejection of the interventionist policies of the United States and other foreign powers and renewed their support for the tenets of the Islamic revolutions. Similar demonstrations were organized in hundreds of cities throughout the country. In his speech, President Raisi reiterated the sovereign will of the people of Iran.
That Biden said that they want to liberate Iran, but I have to tell you, Mr. President, that Iran already liberated itself 43 years ago and it is determined not to bow down anymore. Iran will not be your cash cow.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.